Only 1 minute. So after 1 minute, I will start.
Yes, you may start.
Yes.
Let us start, madam. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. This is 118 Sunday Sahityik Satsang of iSPELL. And on this occasion, I take this opportunity to invite Dr. Archana Singh, the event coordinator of this month, to welcome the invitees and introduce the Master of Ceremonies. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Very delightful good evening to one and all virtually present here. I am Dr. Archana Singh from the Chhattisgarh Forum of iSPELL. And this is my privilege to welcome you all on behalf of the Indigenous Society for the Promotion of English Language and Literature. 75 years of independence, indeed a very long period. The nation has encountered many ups and downs. Although English language is considered by some as an unwanted gift bestowed upon us, but with the course of time, it not only integrated into the Indian culture, but also became indispensable. How has been the journey of English in India from becoming English to English? To discuss about the topic, we have with us Professor SHUBHA TIWARI, madam. Madam will speak on development of Indian English language in the last 75 years. Madam SHUBHA TIWARI is a professor and head Department of English, Avadhish Pratap Singh University, Rewa, Madhya Pradesh. Welcome, madam. To chair the session, we have Dr. Hasina Kabir. Madam Kabir is a philanthropist, trainer, and educator, Abu Dhabi, UAE. I welcome you, madam. And to moderate the session, we have
Thank you, ma'am.
Forum, Chandan Soni. Before I hand over this platform to Mr. Chandan Soni, I would like to introduce Mr. Soni. Mr. Soni has done his BA and MA in English from Durga Arts College, Raipur. He has also done his MPhil and certificate course in translation, diploma in French from Pandit Ravi Shankar University, Raipur. He has qualified English language proficiency test from English and Foreign Language University, Hyderabad. Presently, he is pursuing his PhD from the National Institute of Technology, Raipur. As I have already told you that Mr. Soni is an assistant professor of English, presently posted at government PG or government college, Chennai. He has job BSc in 2009, and he has worked in government college, college, Belgaum, government college, government Institute College, Rajasthan, and presently which Soni posted in government college, he has a teaching experience of 12 years, 2 years PG. He has special interest in phonetics and poetry and photography. So now I invite Mr. Soni to please coordinate the session. The platform is all yours. Mr. Soni, please.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for the opportunity. First of all, I take this my pleasure to thank all my mentors at the iSPELL family, Professor G. A. Ghanshyam sir, our patron, Dr. Kirti Tiwari ma'am, Dr. Harpreet Kaur Garcha ma'am, and of course, our event coordinator, Archana ma'am. I thank you all for providing me with this opportunity to be the host of today's 118th Sunday Sahityik Satsang. And I take this great pleasure to introduce The day before that, I would like to share that the day I came to know that in today's event, the keynote speaker is going to be Dr. Shubha Tiwari Madam. I was so excited about it, and it was like all goosebumps that the thought of it that I would be going to share stage with Professor Tiwari, and I would be having an opportunity to speak a few words about Madam, because I have been an admirer and a student of Madam to some extent. I have attended a few sessions. I remember in 2013, while a refresher course from Ravi Shankar University, for the first time we met Madam, and we had the opportunity to listen to her. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome from the bottom of my heart. A little I would like to speak about Madam. Madam is presently Dean, Faculty of Arts, and member of the Executive Council at the Avdesh Pratap Singh University, Rewa, Madhya Pradesh. She has a vast teaching experience of more than 3 decades. And she started a journey of English literature with gold, we can say. She has been a gold medalist as a student. And she joined as an assistant professor in 1990 and became professor in 2007. Madam has to her credit 2 UGC projects, 82 research papers, and she has authored 2 books, one of which I have been reading is Amitabh Ghosh, A Critical Study. I have with this. And anyone who is a scholar working on Amitabh Ghosh, it is an indispensable book, and it covers so many of the works of Amitabh Ghosh. Further, ma'am has published 10 books as an editor and delivered keynote lectures at more than 35 national and international conferences and seminars. Madam has organized 22 seminars and attended more than 50, including 10 international conferences abroad, one of which was at the Harvard University. 28 scholars have been awarded PhDs under Madam's supervision. So the list is very long, and I won't spend more time on that. And I welcome you all to the 118th Sunday Sahityik Satsang of iSPELL. And the topic is, as Madam has already told, development of Indian English language in the last 75 years. And one more I forgot. Madam has also got a YouTube channel, which is a very beautiful start, Madam. I think it was during pandemic that you started it, and I have been a staunch follower of that. And I especially liked your lectures. One that was on dramatic monologue, The Duchess of Malfi, Browning's, and the one in which you recited the poem Satpura ke ghane jangalo mein. That I have listened so many times. So welcome, ma'am. Please, the stage is yours.
Madam, please unmute yourself. Madam, you are muted. Please unmute yourself. We can't listen to you.
Not audible, ma'am. Ma'am, you are not audible. Please check the connection. Yes. Dr. Archana, ma'am, please ask, ma'am.
Tiwari Madam, you are not audible. Please unmute yourself, Madam. We can't listen to you, Madam.
Ma'am has unmuted, but I think some connection issue. Right, ma'am has the earphone.
Again, muted it is. It is getting connected.
Let us try.
Madam, are you able to listen to me? Ma'am, you can try one thing. We are unable to listen to you. You can try one thing. You disconnect the earphone. You take off the earphone.
Okay, I have disconnected the earphone.
Now we
Now
can
you are
listen to
audible.
you.
Okay.
Are audible.
Okay, so without earphone. All right. Respected dignitaries present here on this virtual platform. Dr. Archana Singh ji, other dignitaries, and Dr. Chandan Soni, everybody present here, those who are listening to me. Before speaking on Indian English language, let me say a few words on language itself. Language shapes our thoughts. Usually people think that we express our ideas through words. People think that we use words to express our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions. But the truth is that the kind of words we use, the kind of words we repeatedly use, shape our thoughts, shape our feelings, shape our emotions. Our mind and eventually our reality is shaped by the words that we use. Our brain is shaped by the language that we use. English, Hindi, and choice of words. If we will use bad words, if we will use cheap words, if we will use gross words, our thinking will become like that. If we will use good words, if we will use sophisticated language, our thinking and our brain will become like that. So the truth is that language is not just a carrier of ideas and emotions. Language is the creator of ideas, emotions, and brain. This is what the reality is. Suppose there is no word for a reality in a language, then that reality does not exist. The reality itself does not exist. And this is more true for abstract ideas. For suppose a pen, I can show this pen to the listener or to the viewer. But liberty, suppose I say the word liberty. Now, if there is no word for this concept in your language, I cannot create it. And therefore, this reality will not exist. As humans, we construct meaning using language. Words are not just labels that we attach to concepts and ideas that are manipulated and combined at deeper cognitive level. Words construct meaning and allow us to form, combine, and elaborate complex thoughts that would otherwise be impossible to handle. I quoted these two lines from an Oxford University scholar. This is especially true for abstract ideas, abstract concepts. And of course, the highest human achievements are in the field of abstract world. हमारे संसार के सबसे बड़ी उपलब्धियां abstract दुनिया में है. At the level of philosophy, at the level of high cognitive science, it is all abstract. So language forms our ideas. For example, and this is, I have given this example in my earlier lectures also. I like this example very much. In the Japanese language, you do not have a word for retirement, for superannuation. And therefore, in Japan, there is no retirement. Officially, there might be an age to work up to a certain age, but people remain productive all their lives. They work all their lives because the language does not have a word for it. It is that important. So the linguistic process is all pervasive. It shapes the unconscious mind. It shapes movements. It shapes ideas. It shapes social reality. हमारे स्वतंत्रता आंदोलन में लेखनी का सबसे बड़ा रोल रहा है. At a given point in time, slogans have shaped mass psychology. इनकलाब जिंदाबाद, अंग्रेजों भारत छोड़ो, जय जवान जय किसान, गरीबी हटाओ, मां मानुष माटी, मां माटी मानुष. At every level, स्लोगन्स, अगर आपके पास उसको कहने के लिए नारा नहीं है, तो आप आम जन को उस अभिव्यक्ति से, उस वास्तविकता से परिचित नहीं करवा सकते हैं. Slogans have played a very important role in the freedom struggle of India and even after that. So people who say, अरे ये तो अंग्रेजी वाले हैं, इनका तो अलग ही दुनिया है, अरे ये ऐसे हैं, ये इस भाषा के हैं, इनकी दुनिया ऐसी है. बिल्कुल सही है, गलत नहीं है. It's not wrong. Every language carries with it its own culture. We like it or not, English stands for scientific thought, objective thought, modernity, progress. और इसीलिए जो जानकार लोग हैं, जो समझदार लोग हैं, वो कहते हैं कि तकनीकी भाषा, तकनीकी शिक्षा को हिंदी में देना प्रारंभ करिए. That in Hindi may also become scientific, objective, progressive, modern. कि हिंदी आते ही हम किसी गांव की या किसी रोती हुई समस्या की विजुअलाइज ना करें. ये हमारे मातृभाषा के प्रति दायित्व बनता है कि हम उसको अत्याधुनिक वैज्ञानिक तत्वों के लिए इस्तेमाल करें. When we start using language for a specific purpose, language, our thinking becomes like that. So every language carries with it its own culture, its own tone, its own psychology, its own mass opinion. ये बिल्कुल पक्की बात है. अब जबकि हम स्वतंत्रता के बाद भारत में अंग्रेजी की बात कर रहे हैं, we are talking about language in the post-colonial India. The first thing is that initially our English carried the colonial burden. We were overawed by using English language. We thought that we are using the language of the masters. और इसीलिए आप देखें उस समय में जितने भी लोग पुराने हमारे बोलते हैं, अंग्रेजी बोलते समय कुछ ज्यादा ही ग्रैंड हो जाते. गांधी जी, नेहरू जी, मौलाना आजाद, राजेंद्र प्रसाद, इवन वीर सावरकर, जब भी ये अंग्रेजी बोलते हैं, आप रिकॉर्डिंग सुनिएगा, they will speak even up till Atal Bihari, I think, up till Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, even after that maybe. I am speaking and this night and dressed with this. They will speak with grandiosity. They spoke with lots of colonial burden. They thought that making a mistake in English, we are somehow guilty of a big crime. They spoke with lots of burden. तो भाषा की गलती करने पर मृत्यु दंड नहीं मिलता है, ये ध्यान रखें. एक अंग्रेज आकर के हमारी भाषा बोलता है, हम खाता है, हम जाता है, हम बहुत खुश होते हैं, बड़ा गौरवान्वित होते हैं हम कि भाई एक अंग्रेज हमारी भाषा को इस्तेमाल कर रहा है, वाह वाह. और जब हमसे गलती हो जाती है अंग्रेजी में, तो फिर हम एकदम से गिल्ट महसूस करने लगते हैं. ये गलत है. This is wrong. This is the wrong approach. Therefore, I am very happy to say that the current generation has taken off this colonial burden in a decisive manner. Our present generation is speaking and using English language as their own. India has been a country of tremendous flexibility, tremendous absorption. We accept things naturally. English has been in this country for the last 4 centuries. 3 centuries, 3.5 centuries actively. India has accepted and assimilated English language as its own. There are many people in India who think in English. Constitution Article 14 accepts English as an Indian language. हम जितनी भाषाएं सीखते हैं, हमारा मस्तिष्क उतना विस्तृत होता चला जाता है. We should love our mother tongue, whatever mother tongue, Odia, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, whatever, Hindi, whatever our mother tongue. We should love our mother tongue. And we should learn English also. The strongest point among Indians today who are going abroad or who are connecting with the world at large is that they are bilingual or even multilingual. Most of the educated Indians today are multilingual, bilingual. This is their strongest point. In this age of globalization, universalization, where world has become a small global village, we should learn as many languages as possible. Because one lobe of the brain contains all languages. A person who has good Hindi will have good English also. A person who has lingual capacities will be able to learn more languages, will be able to learn more dialects. क्योंकि भाषा के लिए हमारे मस्तिष्क में एक स्थान नियत है, वहां हिंदी अंग्रेजी का भेदभाव नहीं है. So a person who knows good English can learn good Kannada, good Punjabi, good Hindi, good Marathi, any language. So we should learn as many languages as possible. That will ensure good growth of our brain, our personality. And a person who knows good English and a person who knows good languages in an efficient manner, is always a universal kind of a person, more flexible, a person less prejudiced, a person who connects with the world in a more open manner. All the more reason why we should learn English, sharpen our English, hone our lingual capacities. So English has become a very common language in India. The younger generation does not carry the colonial hangover, the colonial burden. And Hindi and other Indian languages are contributing to English dictionaries in the largest, in the most effective manner. कोलिंस की डिक्शनरी में, ऑक्सफोर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी की डिक्शनरी में सबसे ज्यादा शब्द प्रतिवर्ष हिंदी से लिए जाते हैं. So many words. I mean, I cannot even list them here. अभी तो मैंने ऐसी कोई सूची तैयार नहीं की है. Otherwise, you will be surprised. There is a word in English, deco. Deco. It has come from dekho. There is a word in English, you all know, juggernaut. It has come from Jagannath. So many. Dal. Dal is an English word now. So many. Maximum contribution of words from this subcontinent. That is there. तो ये जो यात्रा जब शुरू होती है, Indian English language, it is started 75 years back or so. And we started, as I said, with much caution. Today, our English language, English of Indians, is one of the most impeccable, good quality English. And we are contributing to literature, to other parts of language building in the most effective manner. Now, things have started in several streams. Women's literature, women's terminology, folk, mythological, children, sports, biography, autobiography, and in several other genres, travelogues, and in several other genres. So if we talk about mythological literature, it is most of the words have come from mythology, and we all know Rajaji. Rajaji started Rajgopalachari, and his rendition of Ramayana and Mahabharata and other Indian scriptures and other Indian stories is one of the best, is considered one of the best. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, he came in that tradition only, and he has given, because you have to know this, that the pull of language, the charm of a story, comes from the soil. We have to remember this. ये जो कहानी का की जो चमक है, ये जो भाषा का जो आकर्षण है, ये कहां से आता है? ये जमीन से आता है. It comes from the soil. Shakespeare never created a story of his own. All Shakespearean tales have been taken from folklore and history. There was a boy named Hamlet. There was a general named Macbeth. There was a general named Othello. There was a king like King Lear. Even Dr. Faustus by Marlowe, prior to that, Goethe also wrote a play on Dr. Faustus. So all these stories have not been created originally by Shakespeare or by Marlowe or by Goethe. They took it from the folklore, from mythology, from history. And they molded the stories and they molded the whole thing in a deeply psychological, artistic manner. कहानी का जो मूल स्वरूप है वो लोक से आता है और यही कारण है कि हम उससे चिपके रहते हैं. रामायण, everybody knows the story. Everybody knows the story. A young, lean, thin, dark prince moving in the forest, in love with his wife. His wife is taken away. He avenges, fights, kills the demon king, brings back his beloved wife and sits on the throne. The eternal story of the love of brothers. Ramayana, everybody knows. Yet, we want to listen to the story again. We want to watch Ram Leela again. We are still reading Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni, Sita. We are still reading Amish Tripathi, Ramayana trilogy and Shiva trilogy and rendition of a new rendition of Sita. हम आज भी उसको पढ़ना चाहते हैं, सुनना चाहते हैं. Most popular stuff in the market. Storyline is important, of course, but how we tell, how we narrate, the language that we use, the psychological truths that we convey, the artistic beauty that we convey, that is important. The charm of the soil persists. So this is one stream of Indian language and literature which has flourished tremendously. And there is endless scope. Sita was conceived initially, or in the middle period, you can say, as a very suffering kind of a woman. No, wrong there. She's the first Iron Lady. She goes with the man she loves. Her no means no. पिंक देखी होगी आपने, तापसी पन्नू की, अमिताभ बच्चन की. नो मीन्स नो. कहां से आ रहा है ये? वहीं से आ रहा है. No means no. Sita, the original Iron Lady. आयरन लेडी शब्द का इस्तेमाल कहीं मार्गरेट थैचर के लिए, कहीं इंदिरा गांधी के लिए. Fine, they are iron women, but the original Iron Lady is Sita. She dictates Rama. Come within 1 month. Fight it out publicly. She dictates. She never plays the victim card. She never says that I have been a victim. She raises her children in her own capacity. और हमेशा याद रखिएगा कि रामायण जब आप स्टोरी लाइन की बात करते हैं तो आप मूल की बात करिएगा. वाल्मीकि. The story ends with the coronation of Bhagwan Ram and Ma Sita. The story ends there. I am not against Tulsi. I am nobody before Goswami Tulsidas ji. But I mean, we are, हम तो धूल कहना चाहिए, चरणों की धूल भी नहीं है. But Mughal period, he was writing in कब लिख रहे थे? आपकी 17वीं शताब्दी के मध्य में, 1632 में रामायण वो रामचरितमानस. So approximately, I am speaking approximately. So by that time, you see, the condition of women had changed. So society's perception towards women had changed. Commodification of women had, it had started. So Tulsi or even other versions of Ramayana are, of course, very good. But for scholarly purposes, please go to Valmiki Ramayana. And my personal,
Hello,
Hello.
I think
I think some network
ma'am
is,
has disconnected.
yes. I'm just calling.
Yeah.
टोक रहा है. मेरी आवाज
yeah.
आ रही है कि नहीं आ रही
Yes,
है?
ma'am. You are not audible.
I am audible. Thank you.
Now you are audible, ma'am. Now you are
Thank you.
audible.
Thank you so much. तो एक इंसान क्या कर सकता है? One professor of English, P. Lal, devoted his life to translation of Tamil stories and Malayalam stories and Mahabharata and Ramayana and binded, बंगाल के उस कॉटन कपड़े में बाइंड करके हाथ से. मैं चूंकि अब तकरीबन 33 साल से पढ़ा रही हूँ, मुझको उन्होंने पर्सनली भेजा था एक बार. पूरा ऐसे कार्टन hand woven cloth on those books, precious books, writer's workshop. So one professor of English, not that Pilal is the final word. There are many other professors who have contributed to this. I'm just giving you an example. So he has rendered Ramayana in English. Rajari ji, I have already mentioned. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, I have already mentioned. Bringing it down to the modern age, where we are recreating our epics. We are recreating this is a neo-historicism. Neo-historical movement, and it's very popular with Amish Tripathi, with Ashwin Sanghi, with Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni and so many others. मैं क्या है, मेरा ये नहीं रहता है कि मैं बहुत देख करके पढ़ के बोलूं, मुझको कनेक्ट करना अच्छा लगता है, इसलिए मैंने पूरी लिस्ट इंडेक्सिंग करके आपके लिए नहीं रखी. सॉरी, आप खुद से इसको सर्च करिएगा. So this new historical movement is a great movement, is still picking up, and it's going great guns now. This is one branch of Indian English language and literature which is flourishing like anything. And then you see, it's not mandatory that when we are talking about Indian English, we may praise India all the time. Not necessary. It's not necessary. So there is a branch of Indian English writing. There is a branch, there is a section of Indian English writing which actually criticizes Indian realities. So Neeraj C. Chaudhary, we all know. V.S. Naipaul, we all know. Arvinda Digga, Arundhati Roy, and others who have spoken against the caste, deep-rooted caste structures in India, deep-rooted inequality, and the gulf between haves and have-nots. ये सबसे बड़ी हमारी समाज की यदि सबसे बड़ी कोई हम कमी कह सकते हैं तो वो यही है कि हमारे यहाँ जो मानव संसाधन है वो बहुत ही रफ है. That a very large number of Indians are still to be educated. We may have degrees, you know, people may have degrees. Many of them have degrees, but they do not have the capability matching that degree. So there is a great gulf between the intellect of people. आपको पता होगा, थोड़ा सा अंग्रेजों से अच्छाई जहां से मिले ले लेना चाहिए. In 14 years in England, there was one BA and that name was Christopher Marlowe. That was the level of BA, MA. Now it has become laughable. It has become laughable. There is an MA in English who cannot write his own name, her own name properly. So we have degraded degrees in a big manner. And not that there is no good human, I'm not saying that. I come from the heartland of India. I have been educated in government schools. So I cannot say that there is not good human resource in India. There is good human resource in India, but there is a very big gulf between intellectually sophisticated, educated, scientific, objective people and the other side of brutish, bratish, you know, very rough thinking people. People who are misogynistic, people who are very regressive in their ideas regarding women, ideas regarding science. So that has to be, because our original Vedic Sanatan education was very scientific, progressive, open, flexible. So it's not that originally we are like that, but there have been ages of very long periods of amnesia. जैसा वो CV गणेश, किसका नाम है, GN देवी, इसकी किताब है, GN देवी, yes, I think it's GN Devi, Amnesia. The title of the book contains the word amnesia. Very, very good book, published by, I think, HarperCollins, worth reading. So we have forgotten who we are. So that part is reflected in Indian English language and literature created by, as I have already told you, so many names, they have spoken about it. Half a Life, a book by V.S. Naipaul, which got him the Nobel Prize. Well, there is, Pandit ji jo hai, wo aise karke prasad फेंकते हैं. It throws it like, throw it to a dog. Even, even a dog you will give with more love. He does to some caste which he considers to be inferior. Very sad. It is stuck here. आप पढ़ेंगे आपके गले में वो अटक जाएगा. Very strong. Very strong language, very strong ideas there. तो बहुत ही बोलने के लिए बच्चों की किताबें, children's literature in a big way, campus novel. कब चेतन भगत की क्या बात करें? Campus novel, the lingo of the youth. Not only Chetan Bhagat, others also, many of them. And then feminist literature in a big way. Feminism in India, ancient India and even modern India. Feminism is rooted in family. A feminist does not have to be a bitter, negative kind of a woman. A feminist here is a family woman. She knows that her family is her strength, and a husband is not always a villain. So that kind of sensibility is gaining up. Although there are writers who misguide the younger generation, sometimes we have to be very careful in the choice of our authors. But India has been a land of the feminine force. Adi Shankaracharya, Adi Kavi Valmiki, or even our Subramanyam Bharati, man cannot move a finger even without the feminine force. Yin, Yang, Shiva, Shakti, complementary to each other. So very strong feminist literature. वो किताब कभी मत भूलिएगा. Susi Tharu and Lalita, that anthology, two books, anthology where they have traced Indian writing by Indian women to BC. I think it's 400 or 500 years BC they have taken. And you will see the kind of poems Buddhist nuns are writing, even before Christ. I want to be free. I want to realize God. I want to be my own person. So Lal Ded, Mirabai, Andal, Andal from Tamil, no, from Shimoga, Karnataka. Yeah. And of course, Lal Ded from Kashmir and Mirabai from Rajasthan. So the female wants to be her own person. She wants to be, she wants to have her own wings. She wants to be a person in her own right. She wants to realize God in her own person. This kind of literature is very prominent, very good, very effective, and we have to be very careful about it. We have to be very careful about the text that we choose. Travelogues, कितना समय है मेरे पास में? अर्चना जी.
Yes, ma'am. You have 20 minutes more.
Huh?
20 minutes.
Okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. मैं थक भी गई हूँ थोड़ा सा, क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ कल कॉन्वोकेशन है और मैं 5 कमिटीज की कन्वीनर हूँ, तो मैं थोड़ा थक भी गई हूँ. So still, you see, travelogues, you have a very rich culture of travelogues in Indian English. V.S. Naipaul being the best example. And then you see one important aspect of Indian English and Indian English flow is self-story. हिंदुस्तानी किसी की अपनी कहानी सुनने में सबसे ज्यादा दिलचस्पी रखता है. मान के चलिए आप. So biography and autobiography have been a very important stream of Indian writing. It started from the freedom struggle itself. So therefore, you see all our Gandhiji, the biggest, the most popular book by an Indian author sold abroad is My Experiments with Truth by Gandhiji, where he tells that he is not perfect, where he tells that I have inferiority complex, that I wanted to dance like Indians, that I wanted to dance like the British, that I took wine, that I took non-vegetarian food, that I am attracted to this, wrong things. Gandhiji. The most popular book, the autobiography of the Mahatma, because why we like that book? Because of his honesty. Because of his honesty. So every, all of them, Rajendra Prasad, even Maulana, even Nehru, of course. Nehru has a very beautiful prose, very, very nice. His English was very good. So he too has an autobiography. And coming from there, all through these 7 decades, you have biography and autobiography, Sachin and Dhoni, some sports persons also, then Manik Shaw from the military also, and Kamala Das, of course, literary writers coming with their own stories. So autobiography and biography has been a very popular branch of Indian English language and literature. Children's literature, our this Ruskin Bond, and even serious big writers like R.K. Narayan has written for children. So it has come a big way. And the biggest thing that we can give to our next generation is love for books, is love for words. And even if it is, 1-page reading, if you are able to read something, even 1 page, then it is worthwhile. And if you are reading something rooted to our own culture, I'm reading this, although I'm not satisfied with what I'm reading, but I'm not satisfied with the time that I spend with this book or with other books. But still, if you're able to spend 10 minutes, if you're able to spend 20 minutes reading in the sincere manner, and if there are students who are listening to me, I will say, do not read like this, read like this. Whenever you read, make notes. 5 minutes you read, but make notes. Write down. जो मस्तिष्क आपका पढ़ने और लिखने, हाथ से लिखने में बनता है, वो और किसी चीज से नहीं बनता. इसको याद रखिएगा. So read it, and love for words is a love affair of a lifetime. Love for books is a love affair of a lifetime. And those who read are better human beings. Those who read are more happy. They lead more satisfying life. They lead more full life. They are better human beings. No bigger tribute than that. तो मैं समझती हूँ मैं अब इसको क्लोज करूंगी. डॉक्टर अर्चना.
Ma'am, yes, please. Mr. Soni, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. We are also mesmerizingly listening to you.
Thank you.
Overwhelmed, ma'am. Now, I request from the audience, if you have any queries or questions, you can unmute yourself and please ask.
There are some questions in the chat box.
Yes, by the time I'll take question from the chat box. Madam, we have one request from Dr. Pushpa Puamma, madam, and she has mentioned that M. K. Nayak, in his History of Indian English Literature, says that the British came to India and colonized India, but Indians learned English and decolonized the British by establishing Indian English literature. Please, ma'am, if you can
बढ़िया,
elaborate.
अच्छी बात है, ये तो परफेक्ट है. ऋषि सुनक बैठ ही गए हैं. ऋषि सुनक तो बैठ ही गए हैं ताजो पर.
जी.
अच्छी बात है, बढ़िया.
Return of Empire.
Yes, the empire writes back.
Writing back. Any more questions?
Questions, I mean, I am not all that knowledgeable. Maybe I'm not able to answer, you see. I cannot say that I will be able to answer all questions. Observations are welcome.
Yes, ma'am. So I don't find any queries in the chat box, so we can continue. And we have with us Dr. Hasina Kabir, madam, as the chairperson for today's program. I would like to introduce a little Dr. Hasina Kabir, ma'am, who is very well known as a philanthropist, a trainer, and an educator. Her academic profiles include MA, MPhil, PhD, as well as B.Ed, DELT, and IELTS. Presently, madam is working at EFIA Academy, Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. And she has got a rich experience of teaching at schools, colleges, and universities in India as well as abroad. She has been associated as an expert with the prestigious Toastmasters International for the last 9 years. And she has also been awarded with the Distinguished Toastmaster Award. And her areas of expertise include publication of numerous research papers on emotional intelligence, stress management, communication skills, and personality grooming. At the same time, madam has conducted training workshops for a number of international organizations, including the GAIL India. So for her remarks on today's session, I please invite Dr. Hasina Kabir, madam.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Chandan sir, for the wonderful introduction. I hope I'm audible, right? So good
Yes.
evening to all the galaxy of intellectuals present here. Especially, honestly speaking, after listening to Professor Shubha Tiwari, madam, I'm short of words. So, because I mean, we are actually tiny tots in front of you, ma'am. You know, the kind of profound knowledge you have and the way you have delivered. I was just reading and going through this chat box messages. Really, I agree. Undoubtedly, the session was an enlightening one, and I think the rest of everyone present here will definitely agree with me on this point. So a very good evening to thank you so much, ma'am, for the.
You are not visible. Fully, you are not visible. Please adjust your camera. Okay.
All right, ma'am. I think now it's okay. All right. So honestly, ma'am, this was really a very nice session, enlightening one. I mean, that I have heard or went through on the last past a few weeks or sessions. So it's like something like of a energy boosting kind of a session it was. So a very good evening to Ghanshyam sir, our force of energy, Chandan sir, Archana ma'am, Shubha Tiwari ma'am, and all the eminent people who are present here. A few of them are already known to me. Indrani ma'am is there, Kuoma ma'am is there. So a very good evening to all. And as ma'am Shubha already narrated a lot of things, uh, which includes the modernization of English and the mythological Sita's character, relevant with how English has modernized and how the colonial burden has been carried by us as Indians for the past 75 years. So, talking on both the aspects, that is positive and negative, both pessimistic, she has narrated the balanced way of viewing the things on a positive perspective. So being Indians, definitely we cannot neglect the power of our language Hindi as well. So giving due respect to both, I would start the session just a conclusion kind of thing rather. So the power of English, in India, I think it derives partly from what Foucault has called repressive, which is known as this power of language. And that is, again, partly that comes from the colonial hangover. You can call it as a colonial burden or hangover. At the same time, the spread of English, which a few of you might have gone through this book entitled English in India, Issues and Problems, written by Zoha Alam, in which she is narrating only 3% of people in India are using English. And English is always, considered as the language of, it's a very common, perception, stereotypical thinking that English is a language of elites. And up to a mark, yes, we all agree with this particular point as well. And then this reminds me of GB Shaw's spoken English, the essay, the famous essay, Spoken English and Broken English, where again Shaw is saying that the best English is, you know, the best English is one that the receiver or the listener understands. So there is nothing called a perfect English. So in India and relevant with India, and when we talk about Indians and Indian context of speaking, we call rather it as a English part. So broken English is something when this particular English, it is in a non-standard or non-traditionally spoken form. So what matters is how often it is understandable by the receiver or the listener. So it's alternately written version of the English language, where these slogans, just as ma'am Shubha has already explained, how these slogans, the advertisements, the Indian education system, all these things have made a change, or throughout the past 75 years. So this source of spread of English in India is through education, which we cannot neglect again. So as Indians, when especially this middle class realized that, English was the language that is required for, this is a very common perspective for all of us, that English actually is required for a secure future in a government job. And more people like us demanded it to be educated in English only. And when we go through our children part, we are moreover concerned with this fact that yes, we sent our kids to the English medium schools and all, which we cannot deny again. So the private schools were established to cater to these uprising demands actually, and in learning English. So somewhere we observed this fact and understood that, privatization or private English schools are the best source where our children could be sent, and we are securing their future jobs. Then coming to one more point, that concerning in form of English in India, this can be generally divided into three categories: on the verbal scale, and then on the top of the educated Indian English scale, which we call as this EIE. It is remarkably free of regional influences, and is a close approximation of the standard British English. So this EIE is used as a model of teaching, and as we move down this vertical axis, there are varying degrees of competence that is going through. So further talking about the some sense and how it changed, the changes came, and how the claims was done in 1967 61 appropriately is the census of India that enumerated this total of 1652 claimed mother tongues belonging to 4 language families. That was Indo-European, then we have this Dravidian, then this Astro-Austric and Cybo-Tibetans. So these were the categories. So Indian English therefore serves as an important link language if we talk about within the nation. So which is already a linguistically diverse one when we talk about our Indian context. And in a study that was conducted to ask if the subjects believe whether that it is more of suitable to use English or Hindi in interstate communications and all. So 76% people, they think that the only English language should be used in interstate communications. So again, those remaining 18% think that those both Hindi and English should be used in interstate versions. So this is how a country like multilinguistic country has to face a lot of challenges when it come to language speaking and language picking importances. So although this English, there's something that we call as a English, date back to the 19th century with the evidence of poetical devices and poetry and the verse from the period written with the mix of poems. And maybe some of you agree that Bollywood also have a lot to do here in context to the upgradation of this English. The word Bollywood again is a coined word derived from this Bombay and Hollywood. So this film industry of India, and then constantly there were a lot of churning out films with titles like if you remember Jab We Met, and which was again a combination of English, that is Hindi and English, When We Met, or Love Aajkal, Love Today Tomorrow. So generally speaking, this film serves mainly as a distancing device. So as a neutralizing device, you can say, and a device to convey, emphasize somewhere in this unit of hybridization. So it's not one single factor. There are a lot of factors, including advertising. Again, apart from this Bollywood culture, if we talk about advertising, it is another major source of spread of both English and Hindi across India. Sometimes pure English is seen in slogans, just as ma'am also narrated, in shop windows and bulletin boards and all. So for instance, there is a slogan on a this billboard in Delhi that says smoking helps you lose weight. So one lung at a time. Another one is a sign in a bar that says those drinking to forget, please pay in advance. So somewhere one possible reason for the use of English would be that usually only the upper middle class can afford to drink and smoke. So again the point comes that it's meant for the elite groups. So the advertisements again can be written in English, directing the attention to Hindi English bilingual audience. So on the other hand, Hindi English co-switched this text, and also often seen as billboard advertisements again. And in the long run, if we say, this outdoor billboard advertising campaign in India since 1966, this Amul billboards and all, are again more than a campaign for a product, as it has set out to reflect this current social trends. So this has actually become an integral part of the collective Indian consciousness. This we have to understand. a concerning fact, if I say. Then this debate that centered as English is whether it will spread beyond India and whether people will start learning English instead of this, educated English at schools yearly. So while this skeptics believe that the trouble with this dysfunctional English is that it can cause uh, somewhere the havoc when clear and precise communication is required. So whether on a simple taxi ride or on a more serious situations like hospitals and law courts, like talking on this particular concern. So living in this country also, what I observed, like there are more than 200 nationalities living here. And what I have observed in relevance to a lot many this languages and all is that everyone has their own regional dominance, be it be Filipinos, be it be the Chinese, be it be the Russians, the British are already, they do have a different thing. We cannot compete with them. So uh, somewhere the dominance is always their mother tongue. So just as ma'am already said that giving due respect to our Hindi, we cannot ignore English as well. And the debate is an unending topic again, because it goes on, because we always need topics to discuss. So somewhere we cannot stop this. So these expressions, therefore, the dialects and the expressions, which will someday prove to be a distinctive and colorful, as in when we talk about this Irish and the Americans, time alone will justify. That is again a quote that I have taken from Gupta and Kapoor's. So this is this particular linguistic, repertoire over many centuries. So it is no longer perceived as an alien language to us, an unfamiliar language, and it has been assimilated as one of the Indian languages officially today. So in this way, I conclude my short session. I hope I have taken care of the timing part, Archana ma'am.
Very
Thank you.
perfectly.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So with that, we come to the last section of our today's program. And may I please invite the founder and general secretary of our iSPELL India, respected G.A. Ghanshyam sir, for the concluding remarks and to present to do the honors for today's special guests.
Thank you, Chandan, and good evening to each one of you, from India to Abu Dhabi and to all the people, those who are in the country. And I don't think I should present any of the concluding remark, because already Dr. Shubha Tiwari ma'am has done wonders on the platform of iSPELL, and she has spoken at length about English language. And moreover, she being the authority to speak on language and literature, and also she has been a seasoned campaigner as far as the English language and literature is concerned, and also as far as teaching this to the students and also to the research scholars is concerned. At the same time, yes, we need to have a different kind of a breed to read, because now the breed which happens to read earlier is disappearing. So we need to create a kind of a breed who can read well. And that's why Bacon has said long back in his essays of studies, reading maketh a full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. So to become a full man, we need to read. And the more we read, the more we can discuss, the more conference interactions should go on, so that it will benefit all the people, those who are interacting with each other. And when you discuss at length about whatever you have read, whatever you have discussed, and if you put all those things into a capsule in the form of writing, that makes an exact man. So writing is not what we are observing nowadays, taking some from somewhere and copying from somewhere and pasting it somewhere. But writing has to be of of a kind which has to come from within. It has to have your own idea, your own words, and your way of presentation. Every individual has a different way of presenting his or her thoughts. And at the same time, we must also understand English is not English now. It has become Englishes. The more and more people, those who are speaking English, they are making it Englishes nowadays. It has become a plural kind of a thing. And what Dr. Hasina Kabir has quoted, that's why I tell my students, don't ever get into the trap of spoken English. Try to go from broken to spoken. That's the best way to learn English. You cannot land on the spoken part of it until and unless you use the broken part of it. And every individual who has taken birth on this earth can speak broken English. So in that way, the fraternity, and in that way, the people, in that way, we being the facilitators of English, I don't call ourselves as teachers of English, but being the facilitators of English, we need to create a congenial kind of an atmosphere where there's no fear. And if you just create a kind of an atmosphere where there is no fear, then English will definitely become the deer, and it will go very near, and it will be entirely clear to all the students. So that's the basic thing what each and every individual has to practice, rather than creating a kind of a straight-jacketed kind of an atmosphere to speak English. We need to have a bottom-up approach rather than the top-down approach. So in that way only we can make the students and the fraternity to understand the nuances of English, and also to make English as equal to Hindi, or even as equal to any of the vernacular languages of the world. So thank you very much, Shubha ma'am, for doing the honors on the platform of iSPELL. After a long time, I could listen to you on this platform, Indigenous Society for the Development of English Language and Literature, which was formed during the pandemic to lead the forum towards not only meeting and contacting people, but also to make them to understand one thing, that life goes on, and goes on. It never stops. So iSPELL feels
Thank
that
you, Dr.
charai veti,
Ghanshyam.
charai
Thank
veti,
you
charai
so
veti.
much. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so
ma'am.
much.
So this certificate goes
you
to
have
Professor
spoken
Shubha
so
Tiwari ma'am.
well.
This is not a certificate that we are providing you, but it's a token of gratitude and affection from
Kind
iSPELL
of
to you,
you.
ma'am.
You have spoken so well, so relevantly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And this certificate goes to Dr. Hasina Kabir, who happens to be the active member of our iSPELL Jaipur forum, but I do know that she is going to form a forum of iSPELL in Abu Dhabi also. So
Sure, sir, sure,
I do request her to form a forum of iSPELL Abu Dhabi, being the
sure, sir,
representative
sure,
of
sir.
iSPELL. So please
Sure,
do
sir.
so. So we will have an international conference in Abu Dhabi sometime
Yeah,
later.
why not, sir? Why not?
Right. Then this certificate, the appreciation goes to Mr. Chandan Soni, who is the master of ceremony today. And Chandan just means spread the fragrance of sandalwood in the form of your name everywhere, wherever you go. Thank you very much. Over to Chandan Soni.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. With that, we come to the concluding part of our program today. And may I please invite Archana ma'am for summing up and also to propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, Madam Archana ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Sunny sir. So I'm very much thankful to Professor Shubha Tiwari ma'am. When I called her, she not only accepted very gracefully my invitation, but immediately she came up with the title also. And she spoke to me that Arjuna, I will speak on this topic. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you for accepting my invitation so gracefully. And there are a lot of adjectives. There are a lot of remarks in the chat box, and I want to read out all those remarks. Someone wrote that your lecture was very energy boosting. Someone wrote that it was very useful. very inspirational, very informative, very clear, very engaging. Of course, madam, your lecture was so good. It was, you have spoke very eloquently and your ideas were very clear and many new things we came to know about, like Ramcharitmanas or Ramayana. So indeed, it was really a very pleasant to hear, Dr. Shubha Tiwari ma'am. I'm very much thankful to.
Thank you, Dr. Archana. Thank you from my side.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm very much thankful to Dr. Hasina Kabir, ma'am. Madam has very perfectly summed up uh, the lecture given by Professor Shubha Tiwari. And she has not only summed up, but also she has put her own remarks. So thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you,
for
ma'am.
being
Thank
there.
you, ma'am. I'm honored, overwhelmed. Thank you.
I'm very much thank you. I'm very much grateful to Chandan Soni sir. Sir has moderated the session very well. And of course, when I called him up, he told me that Bob Shubha Tiwari ma'am will be speaking. So, you know, you have to do some work, and when the person whom you like the most, and you have to do that work for that person, really, then the result will be amazing. And that I can see today. So congratulations, Chandan Soni sir, you have done very well. I'm very much thankful to Pramod Dhengle sir for taking care of all the technological issues. One more person which here I want to be thankful to Garsha madam. Garsha madam has always been very supportive to me when first I decided to coordinate the session. Then she has always been very supportive. She suggested me names and she all the time she called me up. She asked what is going on. Thank you very much. Last but not least, I'm very much thankful to, as you all know, Dr. G. Ghanshyam sir, because when I hear, I'm living in a remote area, and when I'm here, a person from Abu Dhabi, when I'm hearing a person like Professor Shubha Tiwari madam, then I never feel that I'm living in a remote area. And in this 1.5 hours, as if I'm somewhere else. So really, the motto of this forum is to facilitate, to elevate. So whenever I just, I can say that I have continuously been growing through what I am going through. So thank you very much, Ghanshyam sir, for making this possible. Thank you, one and all present here. Thank you very much, all the parties present be there. And there are 2 more events. So thank you very much. But lastly, I want to say that this is a good forum. The show must go on.